All right, so moving on, our last topic for the night is the insanity that is going on in college football right now, the transfer portal. Oh my God, what are we living in? Like, it's basically if you took NFL, the whole NFL season, and the week that the playoffs starting, everybody's contracts are over and they can go sign with somebody else. That's basically what you've got going on. You've got players that are on teams that are in the playoff going into the portal. You've got guys who are going to be counted on in the playoff going into the portal. You've got guys transferring for their third and fourth times in their career. You've got tampering going on left and right. You've got players going in the portal, getting more money from their current school and going back home. It is absolutely nuts. And it's really one of the things that I hate most about current college football. I'm all for the players getting paid and having some freedom, but I really wish they were on contracts.
Yeah, absolutely. It's chaos. Like I understand why Nick Saban retired. And he's like, I don't want to fool with this. It's too much.
I didn't think
And
it would get this bad this fast. It got you saw it in college basketball, where it went from these teams are changing over 3/4 of their roster every year. And it happened real fast. But I was like, nah, that's not going to happen in football. But you look around, you've got teams that got 25, 30 guys going in the portal. Like, that's nuts.
I know Marshall having to back out of a bowl game because their whole team basically went into the portal.
But even Marshall, a smaller program, you've got schools in the SEC. Like Arkansas has got like 30 kids in the portal.
Damn.
Like that's nuts. Like solid programs, and you've got kids. I mean, the drama going on with the kid at Alabama, who 5-star player, freshman. Rumors that he got a huge offer from Ole Miss, goes in the portal yesterday. Today pulls himself back out. So what happened? The Alabama boosters coughed up the money, but there was rumors that he was getting this offer from Ole Miss and he wasn't even in the portal yet. The one thing that is supposed to be enforced is tampering, which clearly is not being enforced. It's just crazy. Like so many players moving and players moving for second and third times, especially with, people on these last years of the COVID contracts where they have 5th and 6th years to play.
Or 8th.
Hey,
like
I think
Cam Rising.
Cam Rising, the quarterback from Oklahoma State did decide to go pro. So he did decide to not come back and start for like the 7th year. But
I mean, I hope they have their doctorate at this point.
at that point, they should.
I mean, seriously.
That tight end from Miami.
What year is he on?
I think he's played in 8 seasons or something like that.
Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is happening? I mean, that's just silly. It's just, I knew as soon as they changed the rule that you could transfer anytime
and as many times as you want,
I knew all chaos was gonna break out because you're giving these players license to do whatever they feel is best for them, which again, I'm all for players getting paid, but as a team, like you need some kind of stability. And if you're going to pay somebody, like there has to be some guidelines around, you only get paid if you play, if you stay on the team, right? It's like, if I don't go to work tomorrow, I don't get paid.
Right.
So
I think the craziest thing here is these wild demands for some of these players that haven't even played much.
You see the Texas Tech one?
Yeah, that's what I was going to talk about. Micah Hudson, the receiver from Texas Tech, who had a list of demands, and it was
cars for his whole family.
Cars for his whole family, and the craziest part of the whole thing was the final demand, which was the family will decide when he plays and if he's injured if he doesn't play. And like, that's nuts. This kid, yeah, he was a 5-star at high school, but he didn't put up like hardly any numbers this year at Texas Tech. But then he's going to, guess where? Texas A&M, where they continue to just spend. It's the same, and that's the thing. It's the same programs that you keep hearing. It's Texas A&M. It's Ole Miss. Over and over and over. It's Auburn. It's these programs that are so desperate to win now that they're just coughing up money. But you look at a school like Missouri, okay? It was a big deal when they got Williams-Nwaneri to come there last year. There's the famous video of Eli Drinkwitz like jumping around like an idiot because he's kind of a tool, but jumping around because they got this 5-star kid to stay in state. Rumors were that, some big boosters coughed up the money to do that. He was there for 1 year, and now he transfers out and took tons of money and is going to Nebraska. So next time he tries to go, Drinkwitz tries to go to his alumni and say, hey, we need money. We want to get this player. Those same guys going to cough that up again? They're not. They're not oil money.
It's almost like devaluing the recruiting process.
Oh, it's totally devaluing the recruiting process.
Why spend all this time trying to recruit players to come in as freshmen if they're just going to leave right after their freshman year? Like, why not just wait to see which 5 stars are hitting the portal after their freshman year?
Especially for quarterbacks. Yeah. There are so many quarterbacks in the portal. And if you look at what's happening, at Ohio State.
Yeah, that's shocking to me. Aaron Nolan
going to the portal. But think about it this way. They have 2 other guys on their roster. Well, one's an incoming freshman and another kid who's already there who are 5 stars. Aaron Nolan was a 5-star in like one service and 4-star in another. But if you're looking around him, they recruited, they had Julian Sayin, who was committed to Alabama, who switched to Ohio State, like signed with Alabama, but then flipped to Ohio State like immediately. And then they're bringing in like the number 2 kid in this class. So Aaron Nolan is sandwiched by 2 highly recruited number 1 quarterback in their class and number 2 quarterback in their class. Like, that's nuts. Why do these kids keep going to Ohio State? But like I said, if you're another school, why would you spend money on a kid out of high school if they're not starting and they're gonna get mad and transfer anyway?
Yeah,
I mean, you saw
90% of the time your freshman is not going to be starting.
Right. So, you've seen some big names. Jackson Arnold transferred to Auburn. Tulane's quarterback Darian Minson transferred to Duke, which caused Malik Murphy, who transferred from Texas last year during the playoffs, to go into the portal. Now we don't know where he's going yet. It's just nuts. It's just,
yeah.
I really don't like it. I'm a loyalty person, and I just wish they were on contracts because this kind of stuff every year just kind of makes me sick. But it is what it is. It's the reality of the situation, and if you're going to be a fan of college football, you got to deal with it. You don't have to like it, though.
Yeah, and that's one good thing about Kirby Smart. He embraces the situation. It is what it is. It's very, stoic and principled. Right. So I really appreciate that about him because, like I said, he accepts the situation for what it is, and he goes out and does whatever he can in the system that is there. Right. The other big problem that you were talking about at the beginning is the schedule of the transfer window is
absolutely horrible.
dumb. It's absolutely dumb. It's like you said. It's like, okay, we're going to allow free agency to start as soon as the playoffs start.
Right.
It makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it really boils down to a couple things. Number one, for players to transfer and then be at their new schools for the beginning of spring semester, some schools start, first week of January, first full week. So some of these kids have to get transferred or they're not going to be eligible. But college football playoffs run until January 20th this year. Like, the season's not going to be over. So do you create exceptions for teams that are still alive to be able to transfer after the fact? But then if you are trying to transfer players and take transfers, how do you handle that? Like, they have the exception, now where if a coach leaves, they get 30 days to transfer. That's why, like Caleb Downs transferred last year to Ohio State, and that was after all the transfer window stuff. But it's just it's really bad. I think the NCAA could step in here, but they're so hands off and so worried about their antitrust that they won't do anything. They won't police anything. Yeah. They won't change any rules about eligibility. So it is what it is.
I wish they would just have one transfer window right after spring practice.
Right. That's
it. Once you do that, you're with the team for that year. And
That
then
would solve a lot of problems.
if you don't win your position, in spring, transfer. Cool.
Right. Or even that, it could be it opens at spring practice. Let it run through summer until the start of summer camp. If you want to transfer anytime in the summer, let them transfer. Why is it limited to this 30-day window or whatever it is, or shorter windows now? So it's like, the first window is longer and that second window is only like 10 days or something. Like, to me, you should just
Exactly.
have, like you said, should have one window open up after spring practice, let it run until, there's a cutoff date when the new year starts, which is usually around August 1st, and then you go.
Yeah, I think that would actually solve a lot of these problems, in lieu of there being contracts being implemented.
Yeah. Well, they won't get contracts until they make them employees, and they can't get that until this lawsuit is done where they can start revenue sharing. Once they get to revenue sharing, then the players can become
Like to
employees, and
bargaining,
then
yeah.
yeah. But until that, it's going to be the Wild West, and they did it to themselves. So
They absolutely did. So who does Georgia go after?
I think Georgia, I think from the needs perspective, they need at least one receiver. Obviously, we had a couple of guys transfer, and we've got 5 seniors. So we are bringing in a bunch of guys, but we have a bunch of seniors going out. I think you're going to need a defensive back because you had Julian Humphrey leave. I think you're going to probably look for at least one guy along the D line with Jamal Jarrett leaving. And then you might be looking at a running back because I think you're going to probably have a couple of running backs leave after this season as well. Particularly if ETN comes back, I think you're going to have a couple guys leave. So you probably want to bring in somebody experienced at running back. And it wouldn't surprise me if they brought in a quarterback. That may happen after spring practice, but whoever loses out the starting job next year, be it Rashada, Stockton, Puglisi, somebody along those lines, one of those guys will probably transfer out too. So just to have experience, because at least Stockton will have some starting experience and Rashada has starting experience, but to get some experience, you might see them bring in, an experienced player, not necessarily to start, but to be a solid backup if you need it.
Or Beck comes back.
Or Beck comes back, which technically still happened, though I don't see it happening. But that's a topic for another day.
Yeah.
Once again, thank you for tuning in and listening to the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave us a comment, and we'll get back to you. But until then, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.